Update 2 on Tropical Storm Erika, a 45 mile per hour tropical storm approaching Lesser Antilles, moving west at 17 miles per hour. At 3 p.m. UTC, it was located at 16.1 degrees north, 57.6 degrees west, and is expected to continue towards the west or west-northwest in the next 48 hours before curving off towards the northeast, towards the Bahamas, and eventually possibly making a hurricane landfall in Florida in the next 5 days. That is by no means a certainty, so don't worry too much about that just yet, but it is certainly a possibility at this time. But the storm, for the time being, is expected to remain fairly weak. It will probably skim the coasts of Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, and that will probably keep the storm weak for the time being. But when it does reach the Bahamas and passes over those islands, that's when we'll probably see the real intensification begin, if indeed it does that. In terms of warnings right now, though, we have tropical storm warnings in effect for Montserrat and Antigua, all the way round the northernmost islands there as far as Puerto Rico and all points in between, and tropical storm watches in effect for Guadeloupe towards the south. The storm itself is just off to the east and will probably pass near Antigua when it moves towards the west-northwest, and then near St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin and beyond. Sea surface temperatures right now are fairly warm, not the hottest, but it's getting that way, it has to be said, around 28 degrees Celsius, really warm waters around the Bahamas you can see there towards the northwest, so we'll be hoping that the storm curves out to sea, but sea surface temperatures warm all across the board. Wind shear is looking, well, there's a bad patch right ahead of Erika right now, but beyond that, wind shear is looking fairly good north of Hispaniola and over the Bahamas, but there is an obstacle in the way before then. Water vapor imagery just does show some dry air off to the left-hand side of the storm over the eastern Caribbean. No signs of Danny anymore, by the way, he's long gone. And here's the latest satellite imagery of how Erika's been progressing in the past few frames. Gradual movement towards the west-northwest, perhaps, maybe just north of west, approaching those islands and flaring up in the last few frames there by the looks of things. Retaining winds of 45 miles per hour, though it has weakened in pressure slightly since the last update. You can see copious amounts of dry air to the west over those islands, which will probably weaken the storm a little bit as it continues towards the west, unless it indeed pushes it away. Now, here's the HWRF model showing Erika's track. They predict a landfall on Puerto Rico, which will weaken the storm significantly, somehow holding on as a tropical storm, but becoming a hurricane just east of Florida. That's only one of the models. There are several other scenarios, some of which predicting Erika not to intensify at all. Here's the latest track map on the Force 13 website. You can find this by searching force13.com/tracker. You can see all the storms active right now. Ignacio has intensified with winds of 60 miles an hour. Tropical Depression Kilo remains such, and it may turn into a tropical storm very soon, finally, again. Tropical Storm Loki weakening towards the north, and what's left of Goni and Hatsani still active towards the north as well, though not tropical despite what it says on the graphic there. But still an active tropics despite a quiet westpack now. 56 tropical storms have formed so far in 2015 around the world. 30 of those have gone on to become Category 1 hurricanes or their equivalents with winds of 74 miles per hour or higher. 21 Category 3 storms with winds of 115 miles per hour plus, and 8 Category 5s with winds of 160 miles an hour. Needless to say, none of those in the Atlantic. And let's hope it stays that way for Erika. Force 13, you can find our outlets. The website, force13.com, is the website. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Search Force 13, all in text on those mediums. And you can add me on Skype, add Fool13, for tropical weather chat on there and to discuss the current situation with fellow storm trackers. You can also use that medium to take part in our future live events. We're doing one tonight at 9 p.m. at UTC. That's going to be 5 p.m. Eastern Time, August 26th. Look out for the link of that on our social media pages and website. Or you can just tune in when it's time on YouTube. You should be able to see it. Until then, that's all for now, and don't miss it.